In this video, I'm going to be looking at the early stages of a hypothesis test for a population proportion. So it's not a complete example, but it will get you used to the null and alternative hypotheses and the different types of tests that you can deal with. And so for this example, we're told that there's a new antibiotic for children. It doesn't say what it's for, there's some new antibiotic. And they want to know if the children are going to experience headaches as a side effect. And they want to know if more than 2% are experiencing those headaches. And the first thing it asks us is what the null hypothesis should be. And so without thinking too much, I know the null hypothesis always starts with H, not colon, regardless of what the problem says, right? So this is what the null hypothesis should always be set up with. The next thing that you need to figure out is which population parameter you're testing. And so the options that we'll have are P or mu for this course. We haven't gotten to mu yet, which means it has to be P, right? And since it's a percentage, that's another clue that we're going to be using P instead of mu. So remember, P is the population proportion, while mu is the population mean. And so here, we're testing the population proportion, so we don't need the mean. And your null hypothesis, you're always assuming that it's equal to some value, right? That your population parameter is equal to some value in your null hypothesis. And here, we are going to start out by assuming it's equal to 2% or to 0.02. And so when you write out your null and alternative hypotheses, you want to give them as decimals. So now I can move on to my alternative hypothesis. And basically, from my null hypothesis to my alternative hypothesis, almost everything stays the same except for two things. My alternative hypothesis always starts with either H1 or HA, and then colon, so there's the first difference. And then the second difference is the sign that goes between P and 0.02. In my alternative hypothesis, I'm not going to be assuming that they are equal. I want to test to see if it's more than 2%. So my alternative hypothesis here is going to be greater than. So this is the second difference, right? Everything else that's not highlighted in green stayed the exact same, which is very important, and that's always how it should look. So now we can use that information, all of what I just wrote down, to answer the question for part C. State whether the test is left, right, or two-tailed. And that is going to depend on the sign that you placed in your alternative hypothesis. And so here, since my alternative hypothesis has greater than, I know I'm dealing with a right-tailed test. So this is if HA has greater than, right? This is if HA or H1 has less than, and this is if HA has not equal to. And so those are your three options. And so here we're dealing with a right-tailed test. And so I'll just circle right-tailed.